Hey friends, it's Christal. Now, if you love keeping up with the headlines on Currently the News Roundup, we've got something new for you. Introducing Currently The Conversation, a companion podcast diving deeper into the people, places, passions, and sometimes the problems that shape life in Northwest Michigan. Every Monday morning, we'll bring you thoughtful stories and meaningful conversations that go beyond the headlines, connecting you to the heart of our community. Currently, The Conversation, new episodes drop every Monday wherever you get your podcasts. And welcome to Currently The Conversation, the companion podcast to Currently the News Roundup, where we dive deeper into the people, places, passions, and sometimes the problems shaping life here in Northwest Michigan. I'm your host, Christal Frost, and today we're stepping into the world of fishnets, time warps, and pure theatrical fun because the Rocky Horror Picture Show is back at the Old Town Playhouse for the first time in 20 years. Now, joining me today are two special guests bringing this cult classic back to life. Old Town Playhouse creative director Wes Curry, and starring as Rocky himself, Tanner Presswood. Thank you so much for being here, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Oh my gosh, you guys. I am a huge Rocky fan. I was telling you a little bit, before the podcast started, that I saw the show at the Old Town Playhouse 20 years ago. I saw the show, that one of, the former cast members brought to the City Opera House. I try to go if it's playing at the State Theater. I mean, it's just such a fun cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, it's hard to walk out of there and not have a smile on your face.
It really is.
Yeah.
And, I used to get into like the dressing up and things like that too. And then I was like, I'm just going to wear my sweatpants. It's midnight.
Yes.
But I mean, after 20 years, you have decided to bring this back. And we're going to explore a little bit about, why this cult classic still, resonates today. And, maybe a little bit about, maybe some of the things that the Old Town Playhouse is doing differently or, having conversations about adaptation, things like that. But first, I really want to know about the two of you. And, first of all, Wes, why do you do what you do as the creative director of Old Town Playhouse?
That's a great question. It's something I grew up as a theater kid. I've definitely found my place in the theater and just kind of felt that community where I belong. And it's interesting, even now I see adults that come in and they're finding their way maybe at 40 or 50 where they've never really felt like they belong in that community.
Yeah.
So I think definitely I do it because I'm a believer in what it does for people in their lives, where it brings their community. I said earlier, it's kind of like a form of mental health that we provide. Yeah. And people come in and they find a place where they can create, maybe try something they've never done before. And I think there's really value in that of what they can give to the community then, even as an audience member.
Yeah.
Folks are coming in and watching the show and they're like, wow, that's my mechanic or that's my doctor or my lawyer. It builds community in lots of ways that we don't even realize. So for me to be able to do that every day, it's really fun.
And one thing I love about community theater is exactly what you're saying there, is that you realize that your friends and your neighbors contain multitudes, right? They're not just your mechanic, They have maybe a creative side or they have, these other sides where you get to see people exploring these other sides of themselves. And maybe there's a part of you that says, well, I'd like to try that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm so passionate when we do our programs of like putting in people's profession.
Yeah.
Because you could sit there and say like, well, man, that person's a teacher and I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
And sure, I'm busy, but I could find some time to do this and have some joy.
And the big thing about Old Town Playhouse that I've always just been so impressed by is the number of volunteers that you get people, hundreds of people coming out to be a part of these shows.
Yeah.
And I think that really speaks not only to the Old Town Playhouse, but also to the creative community that we have here. Mm-hmm. You're dealing with a lot of volunteers. How do you make sure that people are as committed as they need to be for a show like this?
Yeah, that can be a hard question because, when somebody comes in, especially if we've not met them before, we get them for maybe 2 or 3 minutes in total for an audition. So if they come in and they're polished and they seem committed and they're ready to do it, we kind of take them at face value. And I would say 99% of the time, people don't disappoint.
Yeah.
People come in, they know what they're getting into for the most part.
Yeah.
And they come in and maybe they're even nervous, so you see more as you get into the process. Every once in a while, you get somebody that has never done it before. Rocky is an example of that, or Matilda we just had auditions for. People know the movie.
Right.
Oh, I loved it as a kid, or I loved it, midnight showings, and so I want to come in. And then they don't really realize it's 8 to 10 weeks every night, you know, hours every week that they're dedicating to this. So, but by and large, people don't disappoint.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy, I guess, to get out of people what we need.
And you're also, I mean, we talk about the people on the stage quite a bit, but you have a whole slew of volunteers, including directors and producers and the people who are, you know, lighting the show and, you know, making sure that it looks good and building the props. And I mean, so many things. Those are all volunteers for the most part too, right?
Yeah, everybody at the theater, other than our small paid staff of, I think there's 7 of us, is volunteer. So lighting, costumes, just everything that you recapped, it's all volunteer. It's all folks that just want to give back to their community. You know, our costumer is not a full-time employee, but she works like a full-time employee to create stuff for these folks. And they look amazing. You know, they walk on stage. And I think that's sometimes the thing the average audience member forgets is what goes into that person walking on the stage with that costume and that prop at that time and singing those notes.
Right.
You know, it doesn't happen overnight.
And I mean, Old Town Playhouse is honestly the Cadillac of community theaters, you know, between the incredible talent that you're able to bring in, which we're going to talk to Tanner, one of the wonderful talented people, but also all of the people volunteering their talents and their time in other roles too. I wonder how often other community theaters go to you, Wes, and say, what's the secret sauce? Like, how do you make this happen?
Yeah, I don't know yet because I'm so new in the role. I've been there 13 months, but we've definitely had partnerships with folks and people reach out. But that's kind of the air that I get when I come is people think like, oh, OTP knows it. They know what they're doing. They've got these longtime volunteers, which is great. So, and I always think celebrating artists is great. So we love to share best practices and be able to kind of share the secret sauce.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. Well, let's move on to Tanner Presswood, who is playing Rocky. Tanner, I have to say, my husband and his partner, they did a documentary, and you were starring in one of the recrees for the documentary Marquee Town. So I will always recognize you as playing Bernie from Marquee Town. But you've had tremendous success both on the stage and, you know, behind in front of the camera, sometimes behind the camera too. You have a lot of extensive knowledge of this world. And I wonder for you, like, what made you go, you know, I want to do Rocky Horror this year?
Well, if I'm being perfectly honest, it was my wife who loves Rocky Horror and is one of those super fans who's seen it a million times, you know, midnight showings and all of that, and getting dressed up and fangirling out. And so she was too young to audition when they did it 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So this was her first chance to really get to be in the show. And so I knew with how excited she was that it was just going to be fun to do a show with her. And I knew there was no way this show was not going to be fun.
Right.
Because, you know, I'm a casual fan of the movie. I think the movie is a classic. And, you know, it's fun to watch around Halloween, and the songs are catchy. But, like, getting into it and understanding the show more and learning more about the history of everything that goes into it, like, now I'm going to be a fan for life.
Yeah.
Because I feel like once it gets under your skin, like, it kind of becomes a part of you.
Yeah. You have played these other extensive roles where you've had lots of lines to remember, and you've had maybe some really complex characters. When you're playing Rocky, you know, he doesn't have very many lines. How do you get into, you know, the real physicality of that role?
Well, one thing I've been doing is working out a lot.
The costume is pretty, you know, small.
A little revealing. This is true. So that's a good motivating factor. But no, I mean, I think physical comedy is kind of something that has come naturally to me since being a kid and just trying to make my parents and my sisters laugh.
Yeah.
So being able to bring that to this show is something that I'm very excited about. And yeah, when you have lines, there's inherent meaning in the words. But when you're just filling space, it's just raw emotion. And so you have to bring all of that meaning to it, because the stage direction will be, you know, run across the stage or something like that. But it's like you have to decide, like, why am I running? How am I running?
Right.
And what does it mean for the character? And hopefully convey more than just running across the stage to the audience.
You know, and that character too is, I don't think I'm giving anything away here, but, you know, the creation of Dr. Frankenfurter. So he is he's a baby, for the most part, right? He's a grown man baby.
Yeah.
Who's very, very built, but he's pretty new to this world. And so taking on the character with that in mind too, when you see stage direction of running, I mean, are you overemphasizing emotion with that too? Because that's what a new person would do.
Yeah, everything is new. Everything is exciting. Everything is interesting. And I think that's really fun to play.
Yeah.
Because then I can see the world through fresh eyes and, try to imagine that I don't have all this cynicism and baggage that I bring with me and just kind of let all that go and be on stage and be totally in the moment.
Like Rocky is like, every time a baby sees a balloon for the first time is like, wow, it's a balloon. That's it. It's so great that you're doing this. And I love that your wife is doing this too. What part is she playing?
She's playing one of the phantasms.
Oh,
so she's kind of ever present in all the musical numbers and kind of embodying the ethos of the world that we're creating and just being sort of a permanent member of that. So it's really funny having her be in that position where she really belongs with Frankenfurter and Magenta and Columbia and Riff Raff and all these more interesting characters. And then I come in and I'm just like, I don't know anything about anything. So it's been really fun getting to interact with her in that world. That
is wonderful. Rocky Horror started as a stage musical in 1973, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
It's in the UK, right? It started there, but it was very quickly turned into a film, the film that we all know, in 1975. The film didn't do so hot, though, did it?
Yeah, the film didn't do great. So 73, you're right. It was a London premiere, ran till 1980. So 2,900 performances plus, which was great.
Yeah.
Came to Broadway in 75, did not do great. And then also, it closed after 45 performances on Broadway.
That's it.
The same year the movie was released, also kind of a flop,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And then over time, as we know, just became a cult classic. And I think Tim Curry has maybe a special knack for that. I think Clue also was probably a flop when it came out and now is this cult classic following. So it's interesting that that's how he put his mark on two of the big movies.
And no relation between you and Tim Curry.
I wish, but no.
I love that. What was behind the decision to bring this show back after 20 years?
Yeah, so it is our 65th anniversary at the Playhouse.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple things going on this year. One is our big 65, but then also we've got two shows back to back that it's their 50th anniversary. So 50th anniversary for this is the 50th anniversary of the Broadway premiere.
Okay, yeah.
In 75. And then we also have another, I'm going to do a quick plug, but another show in November called 10 November, which commemorates the 50th anniversary of the Edmund Fitzgerald sinking. Mm-hmm. So for us, it was like an anniversary season. We were trying to figure out what made the most sense. And we felt like as we put together the season, we wanted something for everybody. Tanner just came off playing Moses in The Prince of Egypt. And then we go into Rocky, which is definitely different. And then 10 November is definitely different than Rocky. So just kind of finding something for everybody this season has been kind of how we made that puzzle.
Yeah. The last time Old Town Playhouse put on Rocky was 2005. And I know, I feel like it's still the 90s because that's where I live, right? But 2005 was 20 years ago. How has the audience and maybe the culture evolved a bit in the last 20 years, do you think, in reception to this show?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't know that I'm equipped to answer it other than just my observation. And one thing that about this show that always surprises me is that young folks still like it.
Yeah.
Most things that are in the 70s or the 80s, they have a following, but then it kind of ages up. This still seems to be something the college kids still want to come out for, some of the high schoolers.
Right.
So I think it's still relevant, maybe more today than it was a couple years ago, just with some of the themes of acceptance and, that almost looking through the world with rose-colored eyes in Rocky's case. And then the cynicism of some of the other characters in the show.
Yeah, it is. It is one of those, it's so beyond just the show and what that show, has done for, liberation and queerness and self-expression and finding joy in the bizarre, I think is really true to the message of the show. Were you able to really highlight that in bringing this back?
I think Aria Davis, who's our director, is definitely trying to, you never want to I always feel like you never want to put something in somebody's face. I want them to walk out of the theater and think about it themselves and think, well, how do I feel about that? Or how did that resonate with me? And I think Aria is really good about striking the balance between those two things. So I've not been able to see a ton of their rehearsals yet. Tanner can probably speak more to this than I can, but I know that's definitely an intention or an intentionality as Aria approaches the work.
So one of the things about this show, too, is the interaction with the audience. Is that something we're going to see in this iteration of Rocky?
Yes, please. So I'm glad you brought that up because we are going to be offering the prop bags for a suggested donation or for sale at a very low price. But please do not bring your own items.
Okay.
We want to make sure our performers are safe. We want to make sure our ushers don't have to, take somebody down on the ground for having a super soaker. But you will have the opportunity to participate in the show. We're working on a way to display, there's a marquee that's part of the set piece that will display like it's time for your prop. So if you've never done it before, if you're a Rocky virgin, this is a good chance for you to come out and participate and know what's going on.
And that's really good to know too, because you will have these prop bags, and you should just give a great donation for this because it all goes to the community theater. But you will have this, and it sometimes I think it can be overwhelming if you haven't done that before, even if you've seen the movie, but if you haven't participated in maybe the stage show or maybe a midnight show with the props and things like that, you can feel like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Yep.
So that's good to know.
Yeah, we're going to try to guide folks as much as we can and make sure that they feel like it's fun. You don't want to go any place and feel uncomfortable, so we will get you through it if you've never done it before. We are having 11 p.m. shows on the 2 Saturdays.
So it's almost midnight.
It's almost midnight.
Yeah.
We felt like midnight might be too late
It's
to
very
start.
true, yeah.
And those nights we actually have 6 p.m. shows. So you could do the show and then dinner and drinks, or you could do dinner and drinks and then the show.
Perfect.
And then the other shows, which we have a Wednesday and a Thursday and 2 Fridays, are at 7:30.
And you are also doing a little collaboration with the State Theater, is that right?
Yeah. October 15th, they are showing the movie.
Okay.
Our cast will be doing a special guest appearance in costume.
So not a shadow cast.
Not a shadow cast. I would not classify it as that, although they will be making some surprise pop-ups during the movie to help guide some exciting activities.
Oh, I love it.
And then also available for photos.
I love it. So let me ask you this. Do you know all the steps to the time warp?
I do not.
You don't?
And
okay.
the cast probably is glad that I do not. If you want to see a chicken dancing, teach me the steps, but otherwise, it's not me.
I got to tell you, I'm not a dancer. I've had conversations about this many, many times about how I feel like I love theater and, I can carry a tune, but I am not a dancer. It is one of those things. But that dance, because they tell you what to do.
They tell you what to do.
I can do it.
Yeah.
It's like Cupid's Shuffle, only from the 70s.
Exactly. Yeah. You will have good instructions if you choose to play along. Hopefully you do.
Yes.
I probably will be in the back corner just smiling.
I love it. So it's campy, but it has heart. It celebrates, that, really important culture. Audiences, I think part of the reason it became such a cultural phenomenon is because it gave a safe space for audiences to celebrate, even during midnight shows. And I think that no matter what, I feel like sometimes you will read these op-eds, or you'll open up a newspaper and someone will have something negative to say about whether or not something has aged well. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, this is a show that is all about creating your own family, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. That's and at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want?
Right.
No matter what that family is, you just want to feel loved and supported and accepted. And I think this campy old 1970s show still does that in a very tried and true way. Yeah.
It's chosen family. It's inclusion. It's identity. It's all those things that we want to make sure we're supporting.
Yep.
Tanner, I have to ask, going from Moses to Rocky, did you have a time where you could just, I don't really know what artists do to prepare for the next role, but that is a big jump.
A bit, yeah. I had about a day.
Did you?
Because we closed Prince of Egypt on a Saturday and auditions for Rocky were on that Monday. Mm-hmm. So I had one day to kind of shed my Egyptian skin and prepare for the Rocky mindset. And it was actually really nice because I think Prince of Egypt was such an amazing experience. And it was such a good group of people to get to work with. and getting to perform in Milliken with the community choir. Like, it was great work by this guy right here directing. And so to leave that behind could have been very sad, but jumping into the warm embrace of Rocky Horror really helped actually for me with the transition, and especially doing something so completely different.
Yeah.
It was very exciting. Because just there were so many roles that I just showed up to auditions ready for whatever, and you just open arms, just please accept me. I just want to be a part of this.
Just please accept me, and they did.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. I want to say that there's still plenty of season left for the Old Town Playhouse. It's just there's beautiful main stage shows, but you have other performances as well. And you have a studio show as well. You have a whole studio theater, which is more black box. Can you talk a little bit about that, Wes?
Yeah, sure. So if you have been to the Playhouse before, what you see during the main stage shows, being the shows upstairs in the auditorium, as our concession stand or our bar area, that transforms into a black box theater. This year, for the first time in a while, we're having a full season of what we call studio theater shows.
Yeah. Studio
theaters, it seats 60. So you're never more than 4 or 5 rows from the actor. They're deeper. We dive into some social themes. Our first show this season in rehearsal right now is called The Minutes.
Okay.
It is about a town council meeting where the main character missed the week before and comes in and can't understand why one of the council members is not there, but also does not understand why the minutes are not being read into order or into the record.
Yeah.
And as you dive deeper, it's really an exploration about what small town communities celebrate as their heritage and their festivals and what they put on a pedestal versus what really happened in history.
Oh, wow.
So very relevant today, more so than it was a year ago when Artistic Committee chose to produce it. And then in January, we have a show called Whose Life Is It Anyways, which is about assisted suicide. Again, kind of a relevant topic right now. And then we end that season with a all-female cast of a show called Paint Night, which takes place at a paint and sip studio and just kind of tells the story of these 5 or 6 women that come together and what's going on in their lives.
I mean, it's wonderful. So there really is something for everyone. There is if you want to get involved as a volunteer, there's something, you will find something for everyone in that way too.
Yeah. And if it's not acting, the easiest way to get involved is concessions. Come in, sell some Coke and some M&Ms, Coca-Cola and M&Ms, and you can see the show for free. So it's a great way to get into the theater that way and just meet people.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. So how can people, I'm looking at the website right now. It's oldtownplayhouse.com.
Yep.
And if you hit tickets or you look at the little calendar icon, you can buy your tickets. I'm just going to say it right now. These tickets are going fast for Rocky. So you want to book now.
Yes, book now. And we do have a group deal. So if you and your friends want to come out, if it's 8 or more, you save a discount on tickets. I want to say it's $2 per ticket off.
Okay.
But go out and read the website. I hope I'm right on that. But yeah, there are group discounts. But yeah, they're filling up fast. So buy tickets. I will say, we had a discussion yesterday. We have what's called partial view or obstructed view seats.
Sure.
The partial view seats for the show are not bad.
Okay.
You get a discount on the ticket. You still get to see the show. You might just have to lean a little to the right or a little to the left for some areas of the stage, but they're still great tickets.
Yeah.
So don't leave them sitting on the table.
That is a great theater. I mean, there really isn't a bad seat in the house in that entire theater. So, do the time warp and dress up and, like you said, get drinks, dinner, the whole thing, make a night of it.
Yeah.
I love it. That is fantastic. Well, I want to say thank you to both of you for coming in today for our very first episode of Currently the Conversation. It's been a real treat.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to see this show. Thank you for talking about it. And that's going to do it for this episode of Currently the Conversation. A huge thank you to Wes Curry and Tanner Presswood for giving us a peek behind the curtain at the Old Town Playhouse and this electrifying return of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Now, if you'd like to catch the show, visit oldtownplayhouse.com for tickets. Do it soon. And you can also see the performance dates there. And trust me, you don't want to miss this. Join us next week as we shift gears to one of Northern Michigan's biggest challenges, the housing crisis. We will talk with Housing North about what's being done to make housing more attainable across our region and how you can be a part of the solution. Be sure to subscribe to Currently the Conversation at christalfrost.com. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts and watch full episodes on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Currently the Conversation.